Imagine when you share your darkest hours, they become someone else's light. I'm Jennifer Lee, a global community storyteller, host, author, and survivor, guiding you through genuine, unfiltered conversations. Together, we break the silence, shatter stigma, and amplify voices that need to be heard. Each episode stands as a testament to survival, healing, and reclaiming your power. Listen to I Need Blue on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or your favorite platform. Learn more at www.ineedblue.net. Trigger warning: I Need Blue shares real-life stories of trauma, violence, and abuse meant to empower and support. Please take care of yourself and ask for help if needed. Now let's begin today's story. A year after we first met, Sherry and I sat down for coffee. What began as a simple conversation quickly became something much more profound. We realized we shared so much. Similar careers, childhood experiences, being a middle child, and even a sense of calling that had been stitched into us long before that day. In that moment, it felt less like a coincidence and more like divine timing. Just as you're listening right now, I believe Sherry has a message meant for you. One you might not even realize your heart has been waiting for. A single sentence of hers could spark strength within you, maybe even bring in the closure you've been searching for. Little did I know, this is what I would take away from my meeting with Sherry. Sherry's story isn't one you'd expect just by looking at her. She radiates joy, her smile lighting up every room, while so few realize the weight of what she has carried. Behind that brightness is a past marked by childhood trauma where she was forced to perform rather than be. That wound carried her into destructive relationships, always chasing a sense of belonging, yet never able to fully embrace love. She coped by disconnecting, numbing herself, and turning away from the very emotions that could have healed her. The pain she carried bled into her health. Doctors prescribing pills, something to sleep, something to eat, something to fight the depression. Each prescription added a new side effect, and with it, another pill. It was an endless cycle that left her spirit exhausted. As that middle child, she had always carried the weight of self-reliance, emotionally, financially, in every way. From the outside, it seemed she had everything together: the home, the car, and success. And then suddenly, it was gone. But here's the miracle. In the very place where loss tried to define her, Sherry found something greater. Stripped of the things that could be bought, she discovered the blessings that can only come from God. Gifts that arrive when we finally surrender. Today, Sherry is a living testament to what restoration looks like. She's no longer dependent on the pills that once controlled her. She's learned to regulate her emotions, to embrace love, and to create balance in her body and spirit. She is thriving, self-employed, guiding women in health, wellness, and freedom. She embodies the beauty of aging gracefully and living fully, fueled by her testimony and her work as a LifeVantage consultant. Sherry, I am so grateful our paths crossed. You've changed my life, and now you're changing the lives of countless others. Your courage to speak your truth today will remind so many listening that they are not alone. And the healing begins when we share. Welcome to the I Need Blue podcast.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I'm so glad that we have connected. So it fills my heart with gratitude. One of the first things we realized is that we are middle children.
Yes.
And that already brings about special aspects in learning how to kind of stand back and you watch and you figure out where you fit in, where you don't fit in. How was that like for you growing up in your family?
Well, if you know a middle child, then you just know, right? If you are a middle child, you know what we talk about. I think for me, and I'm not an expert in anything. I just like to share kind of my experience and hopes that somebody can see maybe themselves in me and realize there is a different way and it does get better. So, I had two siblings, an older sister and a younger sister. And my older sister was perfect. She did not have to study. She just always made really good grades and really good decisions. And then my younger sister, well, she was the baby. She never did anything wrong. She was so cute and she was the last one. And then there was me. So my sister and I, my oldest sister and I are 13 months apart. I just remember growing up, I was lost. I didn't know really where I belonged. I was told in second grade when my mom had a teacher conference, my teacher told my mom that I wasn't smart and that I had a comprehension problem and that I should be held back. So even though my sister and I were 13 months apart, 1 year apart, in grade school, we were 2 years. So that kind of sat with me all through high school and then even when we went in the military. So yeah, I didn't really feel like I had a place at all. I would take the blame even if I didn't do the crime because I was the peacemaker. And I wanted everybody in my house to be happy because there were a lot of dark times in our lives. And so I wanted to be the ray of sunshine. For me, it was a struggle, but I felt like I did a pretty darn good job of being the middle child.
I had to find my niche, and mine honestly was my grades. I became this perfectionist where I had to have an A. I remember when I got my first word processor. Like that was huge. But we would have to write our papers out on the normal lined paper. And if I made a mistake, I was not one to cross it out. I literally would crumple up.
Start over.
Yeah, it was crazy. But that's where I found, my praise, I suppose you could say.
Yes. It's funny you say that because Jen, I found my praise in second grade when I overheard the teacher say to my mom, if she could find something in life that could pay her for serving, she would make a great living because I was the first to raise my hand in school, passing out the papers. I wanted to help maybe the misfortunate ones in school. I just gravitated towards wanting to be the helper. So as you accelerated in school, I kind of took on the mother hen and I wanted to be the pleaser. So I offered my time all the time. I didn't care if I didn't even have the time. I was like, I'll help. I'll do it because for me, I'm more of a hands-on person. So I took that gift and poured it into everyone else. Unbeknownst to me, 51 years later, I kind of lost myself, right? Because I was pouring into everyone else and I didn't really have anything left for me. But I thought that's what kind of life was supposed to be.
You had mentioned a little bit about your childhood, how you were the ray of sunshine or tried to be the ray of sunshine, but obviously you had cloudy days. Can you take us into what those cloudy days looked like?
Yes, I can now. I used to not really talk about it, but I think it's important to be transparent with people so they can really understand like they're not alone. So at the age of 7, I was in a very abusive relationship with my stepfather. So I was a victim of sexual abuse at 7 years old. And I'll never forget looking back now, like I would be punished and then I would be rewarded having to perform on him. So I was always in trouble or I was having to perform. And I didn't understand that love was supposed to be shown in a different way. I thought love was just that way. And so it wasn't until my mom actually kind of walked in because I was, I don't know if anyone who's ever been a victim of sexual abuse, they make you feel like it's your fault. They make you feel like if you say anything, you're going to, I mean, he told me my mom would go to jail, we would lose everything. And so I never said a word. And I'll never forget when she found out and walked in on him, and then I had to testify. But what happened was instrumental in my opinion. I forgave him. I forgave him right away because I didn't know any better and I just knew carrying it was not good. But we ended up living in a tent. We had to live in a tent. We had no vehicle. But my mom, again, she made the best of it. So as a 7, 8-year-old child now, even though we had absolutely nothing, which is why my mom had a teacher parent conference because I didn't go to school. And so all of this was kind of unraveling in front of my mom. Through those years, I just was very silenced. I was very silenced. I had to do whatever I was told. And I never had counseling. Back then, maybe it wasn't a thing. I don't know. So I kind of suppressed it. And unfortunately, because I never healed back then, I just kept becoming a victim. I never victimized because I think you either victimize or you become a victim. I became a victim because bad love was better than no love. And so I was dating abusive men all the time because I felt wanted and needed. And that's why I actually went in the military because I didn't have any other choice. I needed to get out of the situation I was in, which is why I joined the military.
Number one, it's sadly very common, the sexual abuse with children within families. At what age then were you when your mom walked in?
So it had been going on for about a year. So I was probably 8. And my mom, I love her so much. I'm so incredibly grateful for her, but we cannot control the cards we're dealt. And my mom did not have a very good childhood. Her mother committed suicide in front of her, and she was also raped as a child. So at the age of 16, my mom was married just to get away from her traumatic childhood. So she was a child raising me and my sister at the time. So she was 17 when she had me, but it was hard. It was hard on us. It was hard on my mom, but I didn't know any better. I didn't know what was right and what was wrong at that particular time.
So then you end up in these abusive relationships because, like you said, that's what you know. It almost feels safe because it's predictable to a certain degree of what you're getting into. You obviously you went into the army. Thank you for your service.
Aw, thank you.
Yeah, of course, of course. As a way to escape. How long were you there?
So I was in for a little over 2 years, but I was in for about 8 months and I got pregnant. And that was a pivotal part in my life because unbeknownst to me again at that time, having no counseling and not addressing the root cause of why I was suffering such bad anxiety and depression when my son was born, who's now 29. I have 3 adult kids and I'm on my second grandbaby. I suffered postpartum depression, but the doctor asked me about my family history and mine's kind of a hot mess. So when I was explaining to him about my mom's side of the family, he labeled me bipolar. That's when my journey of being on all the pharmaceuticals and opiates started. I was numbing exactly who I was for 25 years. I did not even know who I was up until a decade ago. My body was numb. My brain was numb. I was taking a ton of different pharmaceuticals. And it was hard. It was really hard to run my mortgage company, single mom of 3 kids. Everything was pretty much on me financially. I just was doing the bare minimal to get through the day, to wake up to do the same thing over and over again. Not a lot of people know this, but I sold cars in Alabama when I had just gotten out. That was my duty station where I was stationed. And they wouldn't hire me. They're like, we're not going to bring a woman in here because there's 12 salesmen. And every time we bring a woman in here, it just doesn't work out. And here I am, 20 years old. My baby was 6 weeks old. And I brought my husband at the time in and I went on 4 interviews, Jen. And I said, listen to me. I don't know anything about selling cars, but I am really passionate about helping people achieve something more. I didn't even know what I was talking about. I just remember having this conversation. And I said, "This is my baby and this is my husband. I am truly here to make a living. And if you don't hire me, it was a Nissan, Mazda, Lincoln, Mercury dealership. I said, I'm going to go to the Toyota dealership and you're going to be very sad if you don't hire me." So I did that for a year and I made great money, but I was working 6 days a week and it was a lot. So that led me into mortgages, which is the only job I've had since I got out of the military. I don't have any other type of experience besides my health and wellness business because of my health, obviously. But yes, that's when I started doing mortgages and I loved it. I loved helping people. The more challenging they were, the better it was for me. Whether it was fixing credit, my business was 100% repeat and referral. I never paid for a lead.
So I have to back up and say this. So I also sold cars. This is one of the things you and I learned, yeah, about each other. And I was, I want to say like 26. And I walked in and I remember the sales manager, he was like, "I'm going to tell you what, it's a man's world out there. You have to have tough skin if you're gonna make it." And I went out there, I fit right in. I was like, "Okay, I can." Middle child, we adapt.
We do adapt.
We adapt. Now, I was poor because I could sell Mitsubishis, but I couldn't sell anything else. So, after about 6 months, I left and went back to what was comfortable for me, which was retail management. Now you're in mortgages, and I can already tell when you talk about it that you smile, you're happy, and, but it was kind of, up and down for you. Let me ask you this, so you've been diagnosed with bipolar. Did you hide that from people? Were you able to perform and hide this?
I was able, and everyone that knew me until I started getting loud with my story, they had no idea that I was dying inside. I would leave my house and it was almost like I was Sybil. Like I could change a personality to be this happy go lucky person as soon as I walked outside my front door. I would go to work. I would be the ray of sunshine. I would walk into my front door at night. And remember, I have 3 kids. And if anything was out of place, I did turn into Sybil. Everything annoyed me. My relationship with my kids were not good. It really started, it's been 10 years now. So probably even 15 years ago when it got really bad and my daughter was kind of going down the wrong path. And I remember looking in the mirror and I was like, you are the reason why. Your kids are a direct reflection of you. Get it together, change your mindset. I didn't understand personal growth and development back then. I heard a little bit about motivation, but motivation is good for a minute. I needed to be inspired. Like I needed someone to pour into me and show me how to get out of my own way. I couldn't even get out of my own way to begin starting to heal. So it was a long, long journey that nobody even knew. I was making $20,000 a month. I've owned 11 homes. I was keeping up with the Joneses. One thing I will tell you, it didn't matter how much money I was making, the quality, the cars I was driving, because my quality of life was so poor that there were days I didn't even want to get out of bed, which is why I was diagnosed with my cancer, because I manifested it. I prayed every day driving to work. Please, Lord, if I could just take a day off, I need to be sick. I need to get sick so I could take a day off and not feel guilty. And I must have said it so many times that I manifested my 3rd type of cancer.
The power of the spoken word. You said, personal growth, and I really feel like a few decades ago, maybe just in my world, your world, personal growth wasn't really talked about.
It was get on a pharmaceutical. Let me give you Xanax. Oh my gosh, you're this, you're that. It was always take something to feel better. It wasn't addressing the root cause of why we were so sad, why our mind was breaking down, our bodies were breaking down. That was a long journey.
Back when I was 25 and selling cars, I too was diagnosed with bipolar. Now, I think decades ago, that was the thing. Like, they didn't know what it was. I think really I probably had more so PTSD symptoms that I was going through, that I was diagnosed with bipolar. And of course, it's a pill. I too hit it. I would go to work. I would come home. I would binge drink. fall asleep with my clothes on, like my trench coat, everything, and wake up the next morning and do it all over again. Nobody had any idea.
We didn't have a choice,
No, we had other responsibilities.
but I wasn't really showing up. I was just existing. I was just existing in this amazing thing called life. And I was tired of existing. I didn't want to do life that way anymore.
I love what you just said because as soon as you said it, what went through my mind is we were just existing. But I was like, wow, but do I even know who I was? Like, do I know if I would have showed up, would it have been me or would it? Do you know what I'm saying? We were so used to the part as that middle child of just showing up as this is what you want to see me to be. So this is who you get.
Right. We're like a chameleon. We can kind of, mold and be who we need to be. But at the end of the day, we could just be who we are. We just didn't realize we could be exactly who we are.
Absolutely. And that's where we are now in our day to day. And we celebrate that. Yeah, and together through you sharing your story, like you are creating space and giving courage to others. Like I said in the beginning, you're going to say something that will help someone and they can step into their truth and their true self. So you are so important. $20,000 a month, you're in mortgages, you're loving it, you're hiding the bipolar, you're going along with life, but then things took a turn and all of a sudden you lost everything.
So within 6 months, I had lost my memory like Drew Barrymore from 51st Dates. I had filed a $2.7 million bankruptcy because the market had crashed. This was like in 2010. So it was a couple years after the crash. So I was moving along, doing all the things, and then I just couldn't anymore. And the stress of it caused me, like I said, to end up having cancer. So all of this happened within 6 months. And I ended up closing the mortgage company, getting on food stamps, and starting from scratch all over again. I ended up getting a place with my sister and her 3 children, and our kids are the same age, days apart. We were pregnant with all of our kids at the same time. So we bunked up all the kids, and her and I shared the master room for about 3 months until we got back on our feet. And my whole world came crashing down. And I still wasn't getting the signs from God. It was like, a rock here, a pebble here, something would happen in life over here, but I just kept moving. I was going so fast in my life, just to go nowhere, right? And then everything came to a halt. And it was then that I realized I was happier without the money. So I was like, oh, my relationship with money's unhealthy. I thought the more money I made, the happier I would be, but that was not the case. The more money I made, the more debt I was in. And it was a false sense of happiness within my own self. And so that kind of started that journey of self love, kind of finding who I am. And then when I lost my memory, like Drew Barrymore from 51st Dates,
How did that happen?
I didn't know this back then, but I've been researching and studying for almost a decade. The side effects of the pharmaceuticals, the opiates that I was taking, the bipolar meds, I was on high blood pressure medicine, I was on cancer prevention medicine, I was on sleeping medication. Like I was taking something to help me eat, sleep, be intimate, be happy, be sad. I was the gerbil in the wheel in the pharma crisis. So the side effects, we don't know what that's going to look like until they start coming out. It can come out in a skin rash. It can come out where your hair's falling out. It can create disease in your body and turns into a tumor, which is now cancer. All of the sicknesses, all of the diseases, all starts from inflammation in our body when it's left unchecked, right? So I was masking the problems, taking all of the pharmaceuticals. And when I lost everything, I thought, what do I have to lose at this point? I have nothing to lose. I'm going to now pour into me. And that's kind of how my journey started with activation.
I love that. Basically, I think that we run through life at fast speed because God forbid we have to stop and actually think about what's in our head. But God has a way of coming in and putting that stop sign.
Yes.
Er,
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yep.
Yep. And that's what happened. But you took that. And, God made you to be this very beautiful soul, and He already knew your potential. And He needed you to stop. And like you said, I love that you said pour into yourself. Can you tell me what that looked like? And I know it continues to look like that for you.
Yes. I had made a decision that if I didn't take care of myself first in the morning before I faced my children, the traffic, my laptop, my Zooms, my day just wasn't the best it could be. And I didn't understand all of this when somebody said to me, "Hey, why don't you listen to a podcast?" And Les Brown was somebody that popped up in my YouTube. And I was listening to Les Brown every morning. And then he would refer someone else. And that's how it started. So if you don't know where to start, go to YouTube or go to a podcast and type in how you're feeling and how to get out of the way that you're feeling. And then things will start popping up. So every morning at 6 o'clock, I would set my alarm. I would get out of my bed. I would sit on my couch and I would do like a 10-minute meditation, and I would visualize what I wanted my day to be like. And I started doing that. And within days, I started noticing a difference. But I have to be honest with everybody. They're like, "Oh, well, what podcast?" If I didn't know about the activation part of our bodies, I don't believe that my life would be where it's at today, because it allowed me to get the brain fog. It allowed me to get off of all the pharmaceuticals and all the opiates so that I was not numbing my body. Like, I wasn't numbing my brain, numbing my body, numbing my feelings. I was able to really feel what it was like to be happy, feel what it was like to be excited, feel what it was like to be sad. Once I was able to discover that God made our bodies to heal completely by themselves, to thrive, our bodies don't recognize synthetic anything over time. So the side effects that happened to me was because of long-term use of opiates and pharmaceuticals. So everybody's journey is different, but I know if you're feeling like you're aging faster than you want, your body's breaking down faster than you want, it's because our bodies don't have what it needs to fight those free radicals. And you can't get them from food. You can't do that anymore because everything's contaminated. So it's been a very long journey, and I've spent a long time helping people activate their body so that they can feel alive. And once that happens to you, I don't know what it's going to look like for you, Jen. I tell people this all the time. You will become the best version of yourself, whatever that looks like for you. You're not going to be me. You're not going to be, someone else over here. It's going to be your journey within your own body.
I first have to say, because I am not a doctor, so I always suggest people talk with a medical professional. Like, don't just come off all of your pills, because like you have to wean yourself off. There's certain things that you need to do. So please consult your doctor before you do anything. But I love how you said you had to activate your body really before you could begin your healing. All of the pills were making you numb. And I don't think people probably realize that. They've been told you have to have this for the rest of your life, or this is going to happen, A, B, C, D. But for you, you found something else. I would love for you to share that with our audience, and tell us about your personal growth story, where you are now, that ray of sunshine, all of those beautiful things.
Aw, thank you, Jen. First of all, we only know what we know. And I didn't know any better or any different, I should say. So I was listening to my doctor. And I also want to say that this is not going to cure, treat, or mitigate any type of disease. But what I love about the activation part of my story is it's backed by science. There's studies done by Harvard, Yale, the National Institute of Aging. It made sense to me, Jen, because I was taking something that I thought my body was deficient in: vitamin B, vitamin C, dopamine, antioxidants. I was taking collagen. I was doing everything that I thought my body was lacking. But here's the secret sauce. Because our bodies don't recognize anything synthetic over long term, your body objects it, and that causes side effects. So what activation does, it's all plant driven. So it's plants compressed in a pill form. and it activates pathways that have been dormant in our bodies for years. So once we hit 30, we start the aging process. So we start getting aches and pains and we start trying to supplement it. So what I do is activate pathways, turn switches on that have been dormant for years. So when you do this, it reduces the inflammation in your body by 40% in just the first 30 days. And it works on every human, every animal, every baby. There's no contraindicators. And there's been plenty of science. I mean, we have 9 patents. So we took it off the shelves of GNC, Sam's Club, Eckerd's, because the story needed to be told. So when my friend shared it with me, I took the activation part of the story that I've been sharing with you. That's where it started. Because if I can be very honest, I didn't have the energy to even begin to start personal growth before activation. I was so sad and such brain fog. I didn't have energy to do one more thing. So within 2 weeks of experiencing my body, the switches being turned back on, my mitochondria, which is the energy of our cells, were producing like a 20-year-old, right? The inflammation was being reduced. My body started performing of that of a 20-year-old. And I couldn't believe how I was thinking, how I was feeling. And then I had energy to pour into me. So my health and personal development kind of started right at the same time. And what I love about the power of activation is once you get activated, it has a cumulative effect. You can go about your day, right? It's going to take away, 40% less aches and pains, 40% less anxiety, 40%, everything's going to be decreased. And after 120 days, 70%. So I wake up every day excited to get out of bed because I know that there's somebody out there that I'm going to serve. So I still do mortgages, but this is what I do because if I didn't experience this, I don't know where I would be today. I don't know if I'd be sitting here with you, Jen.
And gosh, I think that that is amazing. And, it goes back a lot to inflammation. Everybody has inflammation, right?
The number one cause of aging and disease. We just ignore the signs. It's like your car. Your check engine light comes on. What do? You contact, like I have a Toyota 4Runner. I call Toyota. Hey, something's not right. I want to check it now so it doesn't turn into something catastrophic, right? Same thing with our bodies. If you get headaches every single day, that's not normal. That is inflammation in your body, and we need to address the root cause by lowering the inflammation. And it turns your cells over that of a 20-year-old. If you have psoriasis and eczema, that's not normal. Normal is waking up every day, having energy to get through the day, and the ability to move, right? I know a lot of my friends that I've helped in almost a decade, some of them had months to live. They were chronically ill.
Wow. You said 2 words that are extremely important, which is root cause. And root cause goes all the way back to our childhood and all the way through, because if we don't work to acknowledge, uncover, heal the trauma from our childhood, you just pack on more and more and more. It's like taking another pill of trauma. Here's another pill of trauma. Here's another pill of trauma, aside from the pharmaceuticals. So I am so glad that you were able to discover your root cause and that you were able to find for you what is a very healthy way to accomplish your personal growth. Now, have you been able to come off all of your prescriptions? And how many were you on? Can I ask?
So I was on 12 pharmaceuticals, including my high blood pressure medicine. So I started with I think it was Prozac, to be honest. Felt like my skin was crawling out of me, right? So they were either up in the dose, lower in the dose, adding something else. So within 2 years, it took 2 years before I was on 12 pharmaceuticals. And then that was for 10 years. Then I was in a back-to-back car accident. So I have herniated discs in my neck and back, which is why they started prescribing opiates. So on top of the 12 pharmaceuticals, now I'm taking 4 opiates a day for another 10 years.
How did you not become addicted?
You know what? I don't know. I don't have an addictive personality. I think being a single mom, I wasn't drinking anyway, just so you know. Like, I couldn't drink because of the side effects of all of the pharmaceuticals. So I never drank until 10 years ago. So there was no drinking, there was no doing drugs. The opiates did take the pain away, but it also gave me a euphoric high because my body was no longer making dopamine. I was taking synthetic dopamine, which is what opiates are, right? For so many years that my body quit making dopamine. So people that are taking like GLP-1, like hormone medication, whether it's Ozempic, Trizepatide, whatever it is, their body won't make that hormone anymore. I am showing people how to activate their body to make the GLP-1 hormone. That's the difference. So instead of taking collagen, I'm going to show you how to make it in your own body. And it truly does extend quality of life. The National Institute of Aging did a 10-year study, and it's the only product in this world that has been scientifically proven to keep your inflammation down at an all-time low, which extends quality of life.
And if I remember correctly, you did lose weight.
Yes, because this is, again, people say to me, what is it going to do for me? If you don't need to lose weight, you're not going to lose weight. But our mind body system, activating your body to make the GLP-1 hormone, the number one thing it does, which people, I don't know why they're so focused on quick fixes, even though it's traumatizing to your body, right? When you activate, it does take 90 days to get fully working in your body because we're turning cells over. I didn't need to lose weight, but here's the best part about our system when you activate your body. It reduces visceral fat, that stubborn fat around your gut, your brain, and your heart. So we are 40 to 60% less visceral fat. So dementia, Alzheimer's, heart disease, it's all coming down because we're addressing the root cause. Instead of taking synthetic hormones, we're activating your body to make them.
They say our bodies were designed to heal themselves.
That's how God made us. Before Industrial Revolution, Jen, we did not have all of these problems. Let's even autism. How many people are diagnosed with autism right now at a very young age? Because the foods that we're eating as the moms, right, that we're passing down to our kids. And then from the time they're born with this, the EMS from their laptops, their iPads, their cell phones at a very young age, their bodies can't keep up with all of it. So it's turning into a disease. It doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. It's $2 a day.
We'll have all that information in the show notes for everybody too, the link, and because it's really important for us to educate ourselves. You know, you decide at the end of the day what's right for you. Sherry is always available to answer questions. Her contact information will be in there as well. You became unnumb. What happened emotionally for you? How did that affect your relationships? I know you are engaged now.
Yes. When I wasn't in a good place, I was attracting the same kind of energy. I am a big energy person and I'm an empath. I didn't know all of this. I've learned it over the years. But when you're not in a good place, and I want you to think about this. If you are in a bad relationship, an unhealthy relationship, whether it's with your partner, your children, your coworker, right? Let's talk about coworkers. You go to work and you are telling yourself, I can't stand my job. This person annoys me. Their body odor, they ask a lot of questions. It doesn't matter what it is. If you shift the way you think, not just about others, but whatever is coming out of your mouth, or even if it's not, whatever you think, it does come to fruition. So for me, I had to change everything. I had to look at things differently. When I started loving myself more than anyone and anything else, including money and including my children, I love myself even more than than I love my kids, because I had to do that and figure it out so that I could be the best version of myself for them. And here's what happens. And you don't even have to try to fix anyone else. By you doing the right thing and you getting yourself right and you getting your mind clear, people will start following you. It's like the energy that I was giving out, I was attracting those type of people. If I met my fiance a decade ago, we would not be together. And my kids wouldn't be where they're at today if I didn't choose to break the cycle of my family history. I drew the line in the sand and I said, I'm done making excuses. I don't want to keep saying my family history, it's genetics. I was over it. And my kids are better. They've done a 180. Everyone around me, I have new friends. Like I said, everything's coming. Even opportunities are coming to me because I'm open to receive it. We could pray all day. That was me for years praying to God, please, I need a sign. I need a burning tree. Well, you know what? I was never open to receive it. He was gifting me so many things, but I couldn't get out of my own way to even see it. So it's important to be open, really, to receive whatever it is that someone's giving you because you don't know how it can change your life.
Absolutely. And like you said, some of the people that were in your life before are no longer in your life. And part of loving yourself is letting go and being able to recognize that. Now, let me tell you a quick story about literally what happened a couple of days ago. I opened up my sock undergarment drawer to pull out some socks, and I have two of the same color. One was on top, one was a few rows down. But I was like, I'm going to go for the one a few rows down. So I go and I pull out the sock, and out comes $100 bill.
I love it.
I was like, now I know this was not here because I literally just put all of these items away the other day, and this did not just appear. I ran to my husband and I said, "You'll never what?" I said, "I got a gift of abundance." I mean, now trust me, I go through that drawer a little bit more thinking, well, there might be another.
Is there another $100? Yeah, it's crazy. Even if you see a dime or a penny, to pick it up is showing gratitude. It's showing that you are acknowledging and you are excited. Your body doesn't know if you're anxious or if you're excited. When you feel that, like I'm like your intuition, like if something's happening and you're like, it doesn't feel good, that is a sign that something isn't right. And you've got to make a pivot. You have to pivot because if you keep going down that road, it's going to be very hard to get out of it, whether it's weight, it's an abusive relationship, it is just you telling yourself all these negative thoughts. The more you do that, the deeper down a path you're going, and it's almost like you don't even see light at the end of the tunnel. So I know that I have to do it every day. It's 5 to 10 minutes a day. If you can't give yourself 5 to 10 minutes a day, that is where it starts. It starts there. There's no miracle pill. I don't have a miracle pill or a miracle drink. What I offer is not even a supplement. It's just activating our body. So there's not anything out there that's going to turn a switch on and all of a sudden every day is going to be amazing and you're never going to get sick and you're never going to get frustrated. This activation part is going to help you handle life better. It's going to help you deal with situations better. It's going to help your body perform better. And at the end of the day, that's becoming the best version of yourself.
Absolutely. Hey, in closing, do you have one final thought, anything you pick, that you would like to our audience to take away from your story today?
I really think that choosing ourselves every day, number one, is going to be the best advice I can give you. And when something isn't going right in your life, it is okay to address it and make a pivot because we're not always supposed to be happy every single day. And so that's kind of what I would say to you. And if you're afraid and you don't know what the possibilities could be for you, I would say choose yourself and say yes, because you never know what's going to happen, whether it's through the power of activation or maybe somebody's been coming to you about something and you're like, I don't know if I should entertain it. I'm going to tell you to entertain it because the worst thing that's going to happen is nothing, right? But what if they have something for you that could change everything about where you're going?
And no matter what you're going through in life, know that you are not alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might feel you're in darkness, but you are not alone. So, oh my gosh, Sherry, thank you so much for being my guest today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.